Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be talking about will we still be getting 2 more collabs this year. So, realistically, possibly. So the reason why I'm making this video is because we already had 3 collabs this year, which at this point shouldn't normally be the case. At most we should have had 2. But we've had 3 because we had the solo leveling one last month. And is it possible that they're going to make this year a 5 collab year, which means nearly half of the months would have been collabs, which is okay, and most of them probably would have been new. But I do have a slight speculation that we will be getting at least 1 more new collaboration, and I reckon the collaboration at the end of the year will probably end up being a rerun of some sort, maybe even a re-rerun of certain collaborations. But first let's go over the reruns, because they're, in my opinion, the least hype thing. We'll go through basically all the collabs apart from the ones we've seen this year. So we will not be getting solo leveling again. We won't be getting Emerson Shadow again. We won't get Tower of God again. We won't be getting Slime again, because we got Slime rerun last year. So we'll not be getting that. Overlord, probably not. I reckon we won't see another Overlord collab until probably until they've either made a new movie or they've done silent lines of that, or unless Netmarble decides, screw it, we're going to make a new one anyway. Which they could quite easily do, and I don't see them not doing it. You know, it's a possibility they can do it, go for it. You know, Overlord's a good IP. The characters have always been quite decent, they're quite nice to use. You know, Albedo's technically still usable if you're missing out on a lot of key content characters. So yeah, I don't see the reason why not. Shield Hero, I reckon we'll see a rerun next year. Only because I think was it the 4th season? I don't even know. I'm watching it, but I don't even know what season it is. I think it's the 4th season. It is the 4th season. The 4th season's currently airing, so I reckon what they'll do is they'll wait and they'll do a season 4 collaboration, like how the first time that Shotaro came out, it was a season 2 collab. The rerun was actually a season 3 collab, and then my guess is they'll do a season 4 collab this time, probably adding, I don't know, some of the other characters from Season 4, which would make sense. Unless, I think the Shooter Collab is quite a strict IP, as in the IP decide what characters they add, because it seems like every collab has had the same, every collab with other games have the exact same characters we've had, so it sort of feels like it's a very restricted IP, but it's still quite easy to get your hands on. A contestant for being our rerun this year, or one of the collabs we get this year, is ReZero. We've not had it since 2021, 2022, which means we haven't had it for about 3 years now. Realistically, they could actually make it our August collab, which means that it would have been exactly 3 years since we last had it. Yeah, it's possible. Characters they could add once again, we just had the 3rd season, I think it is. So they could release basically anyone they really wanted to. Maybe a Subaru Beatrice duo character would be pretty good, or a new Amelia, which is what I do expect them to probably end up releasing, as like an LR base Amelia, and then a Subaru and Beatrice duo character, just to sort of, you know, so they've finally added Subaru, so the meme of him not being added, he finally gets added and he's finally a half-decent character. I would also like to see with every new collaboration a form of appreciation towards that collab being a new content that is good, not the Ant Raid event. That was not fun. Some new players couldn't even do it because they couldn't get the Catastrophe characters, because guess what? Catastrophe characters weren't even available to get at the time on any banners. So, you know, take that as you will. It's kind of a stupid event, especially when a lot of new players, which the game, that collab brought in a lot of new players. 15% it increased the player base by. 15%. And they still weren't able to do the content. So yeah, it's not the best. AOT, it is actually quite possible we see AOT return. Bullet, probably not. I'm not going to lie, I don't think we'll see AOT for a very long time. It didn't perform the best the first time. The second time was even worse because they, you know, hyped up the fact that they had the contract to do it for 2 years. And guess what? The characters they released were about 2 years old. You could tell by their kit. It was horrendous. Drums Reincarnated, once again, completely possible we see that this year. Do I think they'll do it this year? Possibly. Honestly, it's one of the contestants in my could they rerun? Yes, it's that and ReZero are my 2 highest, I would say, chances. You've also then got KOF. So yeah, KOF as well, which is a chance, but that's later on. Nope. Maeve, no. This will Shield Hero. ReZero, Slime. KOF is a possibility that they do rerun. We have not seen it in about, I want to say about 3 years. No, 2020 was the initial collab, 2021 was the rerun, so we've not seen it in about 4 years this year, which is crazy. But it does mean it is possible that it could return at any point. which is good. Once again, it's Netmarble's own IP. They could do whatever they want with it, but I would prefer to see it somewhat soon. Only because, you know, the characters are getting worse. Terry is still, like, really good for, like, Chaos PvP. I don't know why. Like, Terry is just always such a decent character. Iori's always been horrendous. I feel like Mai and Athena need a complete rework. Athena's kind of useless now. Her passive is basically just a relic at this point. It's that bad. And I do feel like they could do with a little bit of, you know, paint to them, maybe refurbish them a little bit, and they could be quite good. But yeah, Stranger Things, I don't think we'll ever see Stranger Things return. I'm going to be honest, I don't think. If we do, I think we'll see a rerun, but it'll be like an off collab. It'll be like, it won't take any of the normal collab slots, it'll just be a random off collab, then they'll just forget about it. So like the initial one. The initial one came out, so you had Stranger Things, and then ReZero. Literally the 2 weeks after, you had ReZero. So that proves how much they cared, that they put ReZero, which was a really hype anime, right behind it. I believe it just finished its second season at the time, when we initially got it. So yeah, I feel like Stranger Things probably won't return. My guess is it probably didn't too well. People didn't really care about it. The characters were horrendous. The characters still are horrendous. Do I think they could be saved? Probably not, because all of them have absolutely horrendous passives. Some even making their team worse, which is kind of a rare thing to see. But yeah, reruns. My current top ones are ReZero, Dribblers Reincarnated, and KOF. I think will return next year. Everyone's on the table. Honestly, every collab is on the table. As long as they haven't had a collab towards the back end of this year, so I don't think we'll get Solo Leveling, but anything before Solo Leveling, so Eminence in Shadow, I feel like it is possible we could see next year, once again, sort of like what we saw with Overlord, where they have like sort of like 1 year contract, which they try and make the most out of. Overlord released the end of the year, then released the previous year, August, which is 10 months, which is what I sort of expect might happen with Eminence in Shadow, even though I know it's a pretty easy IP to get. They're just sort of making the most of their contract, which, you know, it makes sense. They're just trying to make the most out of it. But I do feel like this year could be a year for new collabs. So, let's go over some of the new collabs we could get. Realistically, we're going to follow the same path, the same trend, which has Solo Leveling as a Netmarble owned IP. Shangri-La Frontier, quite a good possibility we do get Shangri-La Frontier. Once again, it's owned by Netmarble. They've got another gacha game with it coming out. They also collaborated with the Eminence in Shadow game, and what have we got now? Eminence in Shadow characters, so it is possible that we could see Shangri-La coming to Grand Cross. Is it possible? Yes. Will it happen? At some point, definitely. And I feel like Solo Leveling was a tester, so if you don't know, Shangri-La Frontier, once again, it's like a game, they can level up. And Sung Jin-woo has the ability in Solo Leveling to level up, but I feel like this level up system on Sung Jin-woo was a test for maybe releasing 3 characters that have a level up system. Of course, as you can see here, you can say, oh, well, let me just make this a little bit. You can see there are more than 3 characters here. You have Sonaraku, who is the one on the bottom right, who of course is the main character with the bird head. You got Pencilgun, who is the one on the left, who is like, I'm going to say she's probably the strongest female there, and you've got Saiga Zero at the back, who is also, she is really strong as well. Realistically, I would want those 3, not the... I don't know, do I say it's a dude or a woman? Because it's a dude playing a woman, but it's a female avatar. I don't really know what to say, to be honest with you. I'm just going to say it's a woman. But yeah, I would prefer Saiga Zero, Pencilgun, and Sonraku over getting the other one as well, solely because those 3 I feel like have an impact in the story and are good. The one on the right is just sort of a pull-in that Sonraku brings in. That's really it. Not really got much else in the story. Outside of the game, yeah, but once again, this collab is not going to be outside of the game. It's going to be based on their characters in Shangri-La Frontier and not in the real world. Next one. I put Konosuba on there, just because, once again, it's always a possibility. The IP is quite big. I don't think it's really going to be too hard to get. I feel like Netmarble definitely has the resources now with this boom in Solo Leveling stuff to be able to afford it. Once again, I'm going to talk about a certain trend afterwards, which is the reason why I've left this one to the end, another one to the end. And our final one is Freerun. Not only does it fit the 3 character rule, which is something that we've currently recently just found seems to be a trend, will it be a permanent trend, or will it just be a temporary trend of only releasing 3 characters because they want to sort of bash out a bunch of collabs this year, and then they've got, let's say, reputation with the IP holders, and then they can start releasing collabs whenever they want, like reruns with it in future years. The reason I say Freerun is I've noticed quite a bad trend. I'm going to use the past 3 newest collabs we've had, which is Tower of God, where you say, oh, well, Tower of God isn't new, we've got Rerun. It is actually our 3rd most recent new collaboration, because all of last year we got Rerun, apart from Tower of God, which is kind of sad. So Tower God released 3 characters on this initial collab: Zahard, Yuri, and Viole, and the event boss was Zahard. Okay, our second most recent collab, Elements of Shadow, released Shadow, Alpha, and Beta, Shadow being the event boss. And then we've most recently had the solo leveling collab, which was Sung Jin Woo, Cha, and Beru being the event boss. You can see there's a very common trend: 3 characters and one of them is the event boss. So, if you watch Freerun, you know there's a part where Freerun fights a fake Freerun. Sort of like how we had, you have Shadow Beru, but you're actually fighting the normal version of Beru before he gets killed and turned into a shadow. So, my theory is realistically, it's probably going to be Freerun if they're going to follow the same trend. Not only has it already got 3 characters, they don't really have to pick what 3 characters they want, but they've already got an event boss. All they've got to do is change, the character's model, and then maybe add a few different attacks, and that's it. You've got a perfect collaboration. That'll be quite hype, and no one's going to complain that you've reused, an event boss, or you've reused assets, even though you have, but it makes sense. Sort of like solo leveling, it made sense to release Beru as a boss as well as a playable character, which would be the same as Freerun. The fake Freerun's a boss, and Freerun herself is a playable character. That is unfortunately a common trend that I've realised. So if you can think of any shows where there's, let's just say, 3 or more lead characters or quite easy characters to pick from the show, and one of them could be an event boss, that collab has a possibility in my eyes. That's just a common trend that I found, and I sort of like to stick to common trends, because once again, companies like to stick to trends like that because it just makes sense and it's a little bit easier, especially when they're designing stuff. They just say, okay, well, we're going to release these 3 characters, that one's going to be the event boss, boom, done. They're not going to say, okay, we're releasing these 3 characters and we're also going to have this character as an event boss, this different character, which they have to make models for. It's cheaper that way. And also it means they can make more collaborations, which is what we've seen this year. But anyway, enough talking about collabs. We're going to talk about the brand new Demon King form. Everyone's praying for Demon King Melee. Well, I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be Melee. Anyone who doesn't really understand, I will explain it to you in a normal person's terms. Demon King Melee, same outfit, same exact skill. If we do get another form of Melee, Demon King Melee, which I'm not going to say it's not impossible, it is technically possible, right? It's Netmarble, they can do anything they want. You're basically getting this Melee, just taller. That is all you'll get. I don't know why people want that. I understand maybe this Demon King Melee should have been in that form, but they decided to stick with the, the normal sort of Melee look, just so it's sort of their key. It's like their branded character is Melee, right? Everything's Melee. Melee. You got Lost Vein Melee and Liz every single 12 months. We basically get a new one, and also this is Melee Liz, and they released 7 months ago, nearly 8 months ago, and I doubt they would replace them that quick because we normally only get a Melee every 12 months when it comes to festivals. And once again, I'm going to use trends as a perfect example of that. We got Traitor Melee. A year after that, so that entire year where we got Traitor Melee, we did not get a single festival Melee. We then got Purg Melee, we then didn't get a single festival Melee the entire year. Then we got Demon King Melee, we didn't get a single festival Melee throughout the year. We did get LR Melee, because when LRs were introduced, but I'm not going to count that as a festival. And then we now got Melee Liz. And it had been a year, so I don't think they'll break that trend. Realistically, I do think it could be a Demon King, solely because old Demon King is now quite outdated. Not only that, he's an SSR character, so making your variations okay. Also, they'll probably go for the one that looks closer to Cell, which is a fan favourite and what people have wanted for quite a while, and that is something that we have noticed that they started to do. We had Melee Liz, which, okay, cool, and then we got a fan favourite from the series, which was Corrupt Mael. We got Corrupt Mael, and then once again we got Melee Liz, sorry, not Melee Liz, King and Diane, and now we could expect possibly another fan favourite, which was that Demon King Zeldris form. This is just trends I'm picking up on, but once again, it's Netmarble, it could be anything. Thank you for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.